Hi, I'm Mordecai from Young Entertainment Mag, and today I have Marcos Luevanos, who is one of the writers and co-executive producers on Love Victor, now on Hulu. All right, so how did you first get introduced and involved to the Love Simon universe, and how did it turn into Love Victor? If we could start from
Uh,
there.
yeah. I saw the movie in theaters like everyone else, and just loved it, and just thought it was so groundbreaking and really refreshing that there was able to be a gay teen love story, and it wasn't about a gay teenager who was lusting after a straight guy. It was there was an actual gay romance here that was allowed to be a gay romance, and so I obviously loved it and was very moved by it. But then kind of didn't really think about it until a few years later when there was talk of turning it into a television show, and that's when Isaac Aptaker and Elizabeth Berger, who wrote the film, they wrote the screenplay for the movie. They are the ones who came up with this idea and thought it would be interesting to have it center around a Latinx teenager and his family, and tell a similar story of being in the closet and knowing that you're gay and wanting to come out, but not really knowing how, and wanting this character to be and wanting this character to have a different set of circumstances with a family that was not as understanding as Simon's, and was not as easy to sort of come out to them as Simon was able to his parents in the film. And so they had this idea, and I was on writing on another show at the time, but it was my time there was just about ending, that as that happens in the TV writing world, and I met on the show, and that's sort of how it happened. I got the job, and I've been on since season 1, and hopefully, yeah, I will be on season 3 if we get that order.
Is there like an overall plan for this series overall, or is it just like taking it season by season?
We definitely take it season by season, just to sort of, see what feels right and what works. A lot of times, and again, this happens like with every television show. You write a season, and what you break and write in the room. Sometimes you're surprised by what does and doesn't work. When you shoot it and edit it, and some things get cut, and some things you're really excited about, but it just doesn't make sense for the season. So they get kind of maybe pushed into another season. So it there's we just go by season by season, because we want to see, I think, how people react to, see how we feel about what we've done, and then also see how what the viewer response is as well.
Wow. And what was the big takeaway from season one? And did anything major change to season two in terms of like because of the chemistry with the actors, the characters, or maybe because of COVID or something like that?
I would say that the big takeaway from season 1 was that, we were all, in writing the first season, we were all really nervous, I think, about having him be in the closet for, the entire time. But, I think we ultimately, felt like this was this is a big part of the journey, and we really wanted to explore that. And because I don't think we've ever, I personally haven't really seen that, especially as of late. A lot of times, the gay teen characters that you see on television or in film, they're very self-realized. They know they're gay, and they come out, and they're proud, and they are very strong about it, which is great. But a lot of times, that's been kind of like the only lately that's been like the only depiction that we've seen, and so we felt like it was important to show a different a different depiction. And I think the big I think a big change from season 1 to season 2 was, now that he's come out of the closet, I think we have Victor being a little more confident in his in his identity and in his sexuality, and more confident, in his interaction with his parents, which he was a little more timid season 1. He was a little more, just putting his own feelings and desires and wants aside to please his parents. And I think now he's sort of come into his own, and in season 2, and is a little more active with his decisions and with his words, and with his drive.
I mean, what like my favorite like scenes in season 2 are definitely the relationship between Victor and his mom. I think like some of those scenes are so special because you really see like Victor, wants to connect, he knows deep down that she loves him, but she's just not where he is yet. And I think it's such a real depiction because there's like so many people who like families. It takes years, not just like, oh, you come out and like it's like all of a sudden like you're accepted. Like I think religion plays such a big part, and the way you guys showed it was so. I mean, the scene with the chicken when she just throws it out and the anger, like, oh, it was like so real, it's so raw. I mean, like, where, like, how do the like are these coming from like real places? Like, are these real stories that you guys like have in you as writers like have grown up with, or like are these things you just throw out there like that you think of on the spot type of thing?
Definitely this show in particular, because I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that at least half of our room had queer writers, and myself included. And I can't speak to every storyline in the show this season, but with the storyline with Victor and his coming out to his conservative Latinx Catholic family, that was definitely a lot of his story this season was torn from my personal real life when I came out at 14 to my Mexican Catholic conservative Republican parents, and the struggle that we had. It took a lot longer to get into a good place with them. I think it took me like over 20 years, but about that time. But Victor, it takes place over the course of the season. But these a lot of these stories that in the show, specifically the queer stories, they come from a lot of the queer writers' real personal lives. We talk about what happened when we came out, and how we felt before we came out, and who supported us when we did and who didn't, and who surprised us, and who what was our first boyfriend like, and and what was our first gay kiss like, and talking about all of these things, our experiences from our past. We use all of those things to construct the narratives of the season, particularly for Victor's character, but also Benji's and the other characters in the show as well.
Wow. Scenes like that were in the script that literally like played out exactly how you saw it in your head.
I can't really think of any that are coming to mind. I think honestly across the board, I think all of them, all of the scenes in the show have been elevated by the actors and by the directors that we've had, and by all of the crew that has contributed in all of their different production departments. Like, I think everything that we wrote came out better than I personally could have even imagined.
That's amazing. What's it like in like a writer's room, just in general? Like how how is it like in terms of is there one person like just calls someone up like just how does it work? Because like this is young and Mag like tries to like teach a little bit about like to the young adult about like what about a little bit behind the scenes type of thing. So like what's like a typical writer's room day look like?
Yeah. So a typical writers' room day, pre-COVID, usually consists of the showrunner, which is usually anywhere from one to three, sometimes four people, um, gathering the room at around 10 o'clock in the morning. And, usually it depends on, what their style is, but usually it starts with just some sort of general, light conversation about what we all did the night before or over the weekend, just to sort of create a camaraderie and create a bond, but also to potentially generate some kind of story for the story that we're going to break later on. And then it just sort of eases into whatever our task is for the day. So if it's to blue sky what's going to happen throughout the whole season, and blue skying is a term that we use in television writing that just sort of means like, let's talk big picture, let's talk macro, let's talk generally about where we want to see these characters start at the beginning of the season and where we want to see them end at the end of the season. And sometimes we'll break the whole season in some creative ways by just throwing out scenes that we want to see. We'll talk about stories that we want to see, themes we want to tackle, maybe real life, real headline things that have happened in the real world that we want to see one of our characters embrace and try and do. So it usually starts that way, and then as you go on in the season, you start to break individual episodes, and when you do that, you come in with pitches specifically for the A, B, and C stories in an episode. And the A story is, the biggest story in an episode, usually involving the main characters. The B story is the secondary story in the episode, usually involving the supporting characters. And then the C story again, is the third story in the episode that oftentimes will involve the supporting characters, or even a guest star, someone who we don't really see that often, but we're going to follow them on a very quick, like, kind of 3D story. So then we start breaking these individual episodes, and then as we do that, we flesh those out into outlines, and then those get written into scripts, and then before you know it, you have a whole season complete. And then at least in the case of Love Victor, we write everything and then we go into production and start shooting it.
Oh, wow, wow, it's a lot of information. I love it. Do you know the type of story you want to tell in season 3, in terms of the coming out process, or are we pretty much past that and gonna move on to like the high school drama and the family, or are we still like Victor's still trying to figure out his family? Do you guys know the type of story you want to tell?
I don't think so. I think it's interesting because when we broke the first season, we addressed sort of the first 3 stages of coming out. There's 6 stages that are traditionally referred to, and obviously they don't apply to every single person in every single situation, but typically there are 6 stages. And so we did the first 3 in season 1, and we did the second 3 in season 2. And so I'm not really sure. What is in store for Victor and his family. But I think, as we all know, identity is something that is constantly changing, that we are constantly readjusting based on our personal experiences and how those move us and make us different people over time. So for now, I feel like he's sort of done the the full complete you know circle of coming out. But you never know. There are things that could come up that might challenge him. In with regard to that, and we'll definitely, if that happens, we'll see that story for sure.
Were there any episodes that you specifically worked on more than the other? Because I think I noticed on IMDb, that's where I was getting my information, that episode 5 of season 2, you had the writer's credit.
Yes, yeah. That's I was credited with writing that episode, and yeah, usually when it is your episode, you have a lot more of a hand in the story and in writing it, and so yeah, definitely with episode 5, like I did my best to come in with a pitch for it, and then we the whole room as a room we pitched on it and broke it, and but yeah, I wrote a few drafts of that, and then thankfully was able to be on set for that, and give notes on certain things, and make sure that it sort of came out in the way that I was hoping that it would. So.
Yeah, and I also noticed that in the first season was also a basketball themed episode that you were a part of. Was that something that you grew up with? Did you play basketball?
No,
Oh.
no. I am not. I was not a sports person growing up in high school. It's sort of been a joke. That sort of happens, by accident, and it's been sort of a joke in the writers' room that every season I'm getting the basketball story. So season 3, if I was a betting man, I would be bet that I would again have a basketball story. So.
So getting a little bit into the episode 5 of season 2 episode, Victor is being stereotyped as a gay man and as an athlete. How did you find the balance between addressing the harm in those stereotypes and continuing with the comedy of the show?
Yeah, we definitely, I think, every queer person in the room, and other different types of, minorities, I think all feel like, there's this pressure to be a certain type of way, to be a way that, I think society maybe deems as ideal, or that whatever group that we're in, whether it's a sports team or a band or a social group, they maybe want us to be more of a certain type of way. And the reality with all actual real people is that we're multidimensional, and we have more facets to us. And so we wanted to just tell a story that I think is pretty common with a lot of gay people, where you are sometimes in certain circles you're seen as too gay, but in other circles you're seen as not gay enough. And we wanted to sort of just do a story that talked about that, and we thought it would be interesting, obviously, to showcase that with the basketball team that Victor is a part of, as well as Benji's bandmates and his friends who have been out a little bit longer, or a little bit more comfortable with being gay, have a bit of a shorthand, maybe know a bit more about gay culture than he does, and just how oftentimes in life, depending on what circles that you are running in, you can be made to otherized and made to feel like you're not enough. And so we wanted to just tell a story about that, and show how this character deals with that feeling that he's being given by these two groups. And so he addresses it in the way that he sees fit, which as involves dyeing his hair pink.
Yep. By the way, that was the best line. I'm too gay for the locker room, but not gay enough for Benji and his friends. Best line. Did you write that?
I can't remember to
Oh,
be
okay.
honest. I think I did, but I can't totally remember.
Oh, that was
Uh,
my favorite line because it I think it was also in the trailer, and it really speaks to like what a queer person, like a lot of queer people go to, where it's like you go to it, like a lot of times I know for myself, like I go to a gay bar and it's like I don't know if I fit in here, like, but I'll go to a piano bar and it's like, oh my god, like this is my home, you know? It's like it really depends like where you go and who your family are is and whatnot. So it's like really finding that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think I think it's also ultimately at the end of the day it's a story about how you don't have to compare yourself to other people. You don't have to live up to anyone else's standards. All you have to do is live up to your own standards and be yourself, which I think is it's always those are always I think the most fulfilling stories that I like to tell.
And also, one of my friends asked, "Is the gay rights line when the basketball when he shoots the hoop was that? Do you know if that was ad libbed or that was in the script?"
Oh, I don't remember that. I have to go back and watch that. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, there's like when as soon as Victor shoots the hoop, all of a sudden one of his teammates is like gay rights or like something like that.
Oh, I have to go back. I have to go back and watch that. I do know that in the room we were a big fan of watching you know, the celebrity supercuts of all of these famous people saying gay rights, like Christine Baranski and Laura Dern and Margot Martindale, all these people just like saying gay rights into someone's video phone. So yeah, it probably had something to do with that. So
Gotcha. And I guess I'll ask you one this last question. If someone were to want to become like get into a writer's room and like what would be like their first step to get there?
well, I think there are a lot of steps, that you can kind of sort of do, at once. I think the biggest thing is like, I think, just finding books that, talk about that. I know there are a bunch out there, but one in particular that I can think of is called Hollywood Game Plan by Carol Kirshner. She's someone who runs the CBS Writers Mentoring Program, which I did, and she's brilliant and really knows what she's talking about with regard to, getting your foot in the door. Because I do not come from a family that knew anything about entertainment. I'm the only one in my family who does this, so I was very much when I was starting out coming from a place where I knew nothing and no one, and you know was very happy to get her advice and her guidance. So getting books like hers would I think would be a good first step. Also, there are so many podcasts and so many Paley Center interviews, and there are so many things on YouTube that you can research TV writers and showrunners and learn about what the dynamic of the room is, and to see if that's even something that sounds like it might be something you want to do. Um, and then it's a matter of getting your hands on some TV scripts. I know that the WGA libraries in Los Angeles and New York, they are free and open to the public, so you can go and you can read actual TV scripts of shows that you have watched and see how they are written and see how they're formatted. And then, it's a matter of trying to write one yourself and trying to write either a spec, which is, an episode of an existing show, or write a pilot, which is a little bit more difficult because it's, your own original voice and your own original ideas. But getting into that and seeing if it's something that you like or if it's something that you don't like, and then just sort of going from there. And then, there are obviously a number of different ways. There are writing programs that most studios and networks have, and you can just sort of Google those and see what those are and see what the eligibility and submission requirements are. And yeah, so there's a number of different things that you can kind of do to sort of see if this is something you like, if it's something that interests you, because I think a lot of people, I think that it's just sort of like eating candy and making jokes all day, but there's a lot more to it than that. And something that I always like try and remind people is like I have to write, even if I don't want to. It's not like I can just wait until inspiration strikes me. Like it's my job. So just like any other job, just like if you work at Starbucks but you don't want to talk to people or like don't feel like serving coffee that day, doesn't matter. You still have to go. And it's sort of the same thing where as a writer, you still have to get up and go to work and be smart and funny and pitch ideas, even if you're not feeling like at the top of your game or you're lacking motivation. So it's just important to keep in mind that like it is the job, just like any other job. And so you just, I think, have to either really love it or find ways to do it even when you don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anything you want to say about Love Victor, or like anything about like the young adult, someone who's struggling or something and just needs like a little push or something?
No, I think, I wrote something on my Instagram when Love Victor came out, and I do this for every show that I write on. I write a little something about like what the experience was like, on the day that it either, premieres or airs or launches. And this one in particular, like I got more likes on this than anything I've ever posted, which is very, very sweet and very touching and made me feel great that people who looked at it felt like it spoke to them. And really all it said was that it spoke to the journey that Victor went through during the second season, which again was based on my personal life and my personal story. And really it just said that if you are going through something like this and you're not being loved in the way that you deserve to be loved by people who you love, that it's don't give up hope that maybe someday it might work out, because it worked out for me. And by that I don't mean like to demean yourself by allowing people to mistreat you. I mean that just don't give up complete and total hope that maybe someday it might all work out. And I would also say that even though this show is about coming out, everyone is entitled to do that on their own time frame and in their own way. And so even though, I'm an out gay man and I'm very proud of that, it doesn't necessarily mean that my situation is the same as every single person's, every other, gay person's in the world. So, it's all about what, you feel comfortable doing in the moment and when you feel comfortable. Like I can't remember his name, but there is a football player who just came out this week, who's on the Raiders, I believe. And I think he's in his maybe 20s or 30s. I can't quite tell, but that's something that I know from reading his post and seeing what he said on his social media, that this was something that he'd been struggling with for a while, and for whatever reason this felt like the right time for him to come out and for him to do that. And so again, it's a very personal thing that is unique to everyone, and there's no rush, and it's all on each individual's time frame.
Yeah, I have to thank you, because it really, like, the show speaks so much to like a lot of the things I went through or gone through. And it's, I mean, my parents, I know they love me very much, but even I'm in my 30s and they still struggle with me being being gay and out and whatever. And the show really helps in a way that's like very hopeful. I know they love me and they care about me. And because so much of like my friends is like, oh, why, like, they're not accepting, like, how, why would you even want to go there? I'm like, because they're my parents and I love them, and they have their own time frame just as much as I had my time frame. So it's the show really, I think, helps in such a way that like it just makes you it just really helped. So thank you.
Of course, of course. No, I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad that it helped you in that way. And it's interesting that you say that because I think I know for myself, having a what it sounds like a similar relationship with my parents, as you do. I would get a lot of the same comments from friends and about accept it. Why would I accept this behavior from them? Why would I accept them treating me this way? Why would I, and it's exactly, you said it so beautifully, like just as I am on a time frame, they are also on a time frame. And the other thing that I think is also important to keep in mind is like with everyone in our lives, with every person that we love, with every person that we have a relationship with, there are things about them that we wish were different and that we wish were were changed. I have a friend who is constantly late and I wish that she wasn't, but I still love her. And even though I like try to in different ways to change the fact that she's late, I love her so much that I've just accepted that about her. And so it's a thing where I think it just it's more complicated than just all or nothing. It's more complicated than just accept me 100% or not at all. And I think you said it so beautifully. Like when it is a person in your life, like your parents who you love very much, you are going to do whatever it takes, whatever you can within reason to try and make that relationship work. And again, it's just like any other relationship, with whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. There are things about people that I think we wish were different, and it just takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. And I think again that was the thing that that happened in my life that we really wanted to show in this season, because again, a lot of times in in media it's sort of depicted as the gay character comes out and their parents are immediately accepting, or they're not accepting at the beginning of the episode, but they totally come around by the end. And we just didn't really feel like that was a realistic thing to depict, especially with this being a gay show. Like that's the experience that we have to show, because that's again the reality of this person's situation.
Correct. Team Benji or Team Raheem?
Oh my God. I oh wow, this is tough. This is hard. Oof, this is so difficult. I can't pick. I really can't pick. I like them both so much.
I know, same.
And it was really it was difficult writing. Before we wrote the character of Raheem before we cast the actor Anthony Kivan, and we were just crossing our fingers, hoping that we would get someone who was charismatic enough, who would make the audience actually believe that Victor could actually kind of fall for someone new. And I think this actor Anthony Kivan, he just totally knocked it out of the park. And he is so lovable. Like you fall in love with him the minute you see him, and he really sold it. And I'm happy that that it's an embarrassment of riches to even be in that situation where it feels like people are legitimately torn between those two. It's what I will say. I can't pick Team Benji or Team Raheem, but I can say I'm Team Lake. Potentially finding out that she's not totally straight. That's the answer I'm gonna give.
Oh, okay. I like that answer. That's fun.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see what happens with that. That was a fun thing to tease at the end over there.
Yeah, that was something that I think we're all really excited about seeing where that goes in season 3.
I'm kind of curious
if we have one, we still have to get one
right
from Hulu.
I'm curious how her mom is gonna react because I forgot her name. What the actress who plays her
Leslie
mom?
Grossman.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's so great. She's wonderful. Again, she's another one like we write these parts for these we write these characters and we're just like crossing our fingers hoping we can get an actor to do it justice, and then you get someone like her who just knocks it out of the park and is just so amazing and brilliant that it just it makes our job so much easier because we have people who can actually really sell the lines and deliver them so well.
Oh, well, I'm excited. I really hope you guys get picked up for season 3 because that's gonna it's gonna be a good. It's a good show.
Yeah, I hope so too. So yeah, and if so, then yeah, I'll be talking to you again, probably around this time next year.
All right. Well, thank you.